The world without a superpower. Imagine a world map, but something is missing. A landmass still exists between the Atlantic and Pacific, yet there is no United States of America. No 13 colonies, no constitution, no industrial giant, no global superpower. How would the world change without the country that shaped modern economics, war, culture, and technology? Today, we step into an alternate timeline, a world where the United States never came to be. A totally different global power map. In this timeline, the early 1800s look radically different. Without a rising American state, European empires never lose their grip over the New World. 1. North America becomes a patchwork of empires. Britain controls Canada and much of the East Coast. Spain dominates the South and the West. France still claims the Midwest and parts of the interior. Mexico stretches much further north. There is no single nation capable of unifying the continent. Instead, North America resembles modern-day Europe. Many medium powers, constant rivalries, complex alliances. 2. No American century. There would be no US industrial boom, no global dollar currency, no NATO, no world police role, no Hollywood cultural wave. The 20th century becomes the age of Europe, not America. World wars? Still massive, but without America's intervention, the outcomes might look very different. World wars without the US. This is where history diverges dramatically. World War I. Without American troops and funding, the Allies would struggle to overpower Germany. The war might end in a negotiated peace, not a defeat. This means no Treaty of Versailles humiliation, no economic collapse in Germany, no rise of Hitler. The entire world avoids one of the darkest chapters of human history. World War II. If a conflict still erupts, the absence of the US changes everything. Britain stands alone in the West. The Soviet Union becomes the main counterweight to the Axis. The war becomes longer, bloodier, and far more uncertain. And most critically, no American nuclear program means no Manhattan Project, which leads us to the next major shift.
Technology evolves 40 years slower. The United States was the engine behind many of the world's most transformative innovations. Without it, global progress slows dramatically. No Silicon Valley. Computers, smartphones, modern software culture, they all slow down. No Apple, no Microsoft, no Google, no SpaceX. No American-style startup ecosystem. Technology spreads more slowly, controlled mostly by Europe and Japan. No moon landing. The iconic 1969 moon landing never happens. The space race becomes smaller, quieter, and decades behind. The internet arrives much later. The US military invented the early internet. Without it, global communication, social media, online business, everything is delayed. Humanity's digital age might begin around 2005 instead of the 1990s.
A very different world economy. Today's global economy is built on American systems. Without them, the world becomes fragmented and divided. Number 1. No US dollar as global reserve. The world turns to the British pound, the German mark, or later the euro, but none become as dominant. Trade becomes more chaotic, less stable, and much more regional. Number 2. Asia leads much earlier. Japan becomes the top industrial power by the 1970s. China rises faster, without an American rival slowing its growth. Number 3. Innovation becomes slower and more expensive. Without a unified, massive consumer market like the US, companies can't scale quickly. Products take longer to spread worldwide. The cost of innovation doubles. The global economy becomes more diverse, but far less efficient and far less connected.
Global culture without the US. Finally, culture. Music, movies, sports, fashion. The US shaped so much of it. Without America, no Hollywood. Cinema is dominated by France, Britain, Japan, India. The global entertainment landscape is far more fragmented. Number 2, music history changes completely. No jazz, rock, hip-hop, R&B, pop as we know it. The 20th century becomes dominated by European classical and regional styles. Number 3, no global English culture wave. English spreads slower, spoken mostly in Europe and former colonies. The world never becomes as culturally unified. Instead, human civilization becomes more divided, more regional, and less globally connected.
The United States shaped modern history more than any other country. Without it, the world becomes less connected. Continents drift into isolated spheres of influence. Less innovative. Breakthroughs arrive decades later, if ever. Less stable. Wars stretch longer. Alliances crumble faster. Slower to advance. Technology, medicine, and industry evolve at a fraction of today's pace. What emerges is a planet of rival powers, controlling their own corners of the world, with no single guiding force for global cooperation. Whether that would be a better world or a worse one depends entirely on your values. Do you favor unity or independence, stability or raw competition? But one truth remains undeniable. History would never be the same. If you enjoyed this alternate reality, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep creating more deep dive scenarios like this. And tell us in the comments, what if story should we explore next? We'll feature the most creative suggestion in an upcoming video.